Please support original content by liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you like a sequel, make a comment, or if I get 50 likes, I will make a sequel. The start, I woke up to loud blaring sound drowning in silk sheets. Not metaphorically wither, I had all the grace of a panicking seal. As I sent one flailing arm collided with something metal, an alarm clock sending it skidding across the nightstand with a clang. I bolted upright, air finally in my lungs as a chandelier winked down at me like an expensive, judging spider. Finally the sound was gone, but... "Sir," a disguised voice hummed in the corner as my heart screams to another, "You're awake." A tall man in a tuxedo stepped forward, the kind of face you only see in luxury watch ads. He had butler energy, no executive assassin energy. I blinked at him. "Who wears?" "Good morning, Mr. Kin," he said in a tone that suggested mornings were a personal offense. "Your 6:30 meeting was moved to 7 o'clock. Miss Zhao requests the quarterly forecast on Consumer Cloud. Also, Mrs. Kin accepted the driver for 8 o'clock. Your legal counsel will be here at 9:30 with the final documents." "Final documents," I repeated. The man's left eyebrow twitched. "Divorce papers, sir." I was fully awake now. The ceiling stretched like an endless white ocean above me. The mattress had its own gravitational field. I swallowed. "Right." He waited. He seemed to be waiting for me to be myself. A flood of memories crashed over me, not mine. A boardroom with slate walls, a skyline framed behind glass, a conference table like an aircraft carrier. A name in gold, Kin Global Holdings. A wedding photo smiling over a mantle, but the faces were their own icebergs. Cold CEO, shy wife. I knew the plot, or rather, I knew this man. Cruel wasn't the right word, blunt, cold, and chronically absent. Yes, he had a marriage like a polite hostage exchange. The wife, my wife, had been placed in a house like a plant in a lobby, watered occasionally, no sun. Now she was leaving. And whoever I had been yesterday, me, Earl, support lead, and amateur disaster chef, was gone. Replaced by an expensive ghost with a bad personality and impeccable bone structure. I took inventory, muscular in that gym for appearances way, an old ache between my shoulder blades from too many hours at a desk and too many nights on planes, perfectly cut hair, a watch that cost a compact car, a closet the size of a studio apartment, every shirt hung like a threat. "I'm Ren," the man said, the butler, the assassin, the personal aide. "You usually take your coffee black, but you haven't been drinking it lately." "Why not?" He looked momentarily surprised that I'd asked why. "The acidity, you said it gives you ulcers." "Ulcers," I echoed, "that tracks. Shall I bring your documents to the study?" "Wait," I said, my voice didn't sound like a stranger anymore, it sounded like a choice. "My wife, where is she?" Ren paused. "Mrs. Kin has her morning at the conservatory. She's been unwell." The word hit me like a thrown stone. Unwell. It carried weight, the weight of missed appointments, of unanswered texts, of someone pouring tea alone into cool silence. The original CEO had neglected her into invisibility. "Right." I shoved off the bed, wobbling, almost toppling over in a silk landslide, and made for the wardrobe. Rows of suits glared. I grabbed the least intimidating one, a charcoal gray that whispered repentant banker. "Ren," I said while buttoning my shirt wrong. "Cancel the 7 o'clock, move the 9:30 to never, tell legal I need to, review." We stared at each other. "You review, sir." "Not personally, obviously," I said, "but yes, review legally, words, language, and prepare the car, I'm going out." His brow lifted. "To the office." "To get my wife." Ren's face didn't change, but he did seem to pause before replying as if the world stood still. "Very good, sir." When he left, I sagged with relief and terror. Then I realized I'd buttoned my shirt offset by one. I scowled at my reflection. "We are not starting our redemption arc looking like an off-brand magician," I told it. I fixed the buttons, struggled into a tie like a man choking himself with a silk snake, and exhaled. On the way downstairs, I passed the wedding photo. The woman at my side, her, wore a simple ivory dress, hair swept back, cheekbones soft as a sigh. Her eyes were lovely, downcast and careful, shy, but the mouth had a secret curve that suggested fire if someone lit the match. "Mr. Kin," Ren said, appearing with a tablet, a pen that looked more expensive than my car back home, shoes polished like black mirrors. Messages from Miss Zhao, Mr. Bayan, later. I slid into the car and the world cocooned around me, leather and muted power. I could see my breath fog, a little climate control set to cold. Warm it up, I said. Ren glanced from the driver's seat to the mirror. It's always set, warm it. Yes, sir. The city outside strutted by, people with coffees, dogs in raincoats, glass facades pretending to be sky. We stopped at a red light. A street vendor was selling steamed buns to construction workers. A jogger ran past with a neon headband and fury in her stride. I was certain about only one thing: she would not believe me. The original me was a blunt instrument in an Armani suit. I was a rubber spatula pretending to be a knife. But she was unwell and neglected, and I had slept in a bed I hadn't built, so I would fix it. That at least I could do. Ren, I said, what does she like? Mrs. Ken. No Beyonce, I muttered. Yes, my wife. Ren considered. She doesn't make many requests, she reads, she likes the conservatory. He hesitated, rare for him. She once asked if she could go to the farmer's market on Sunday, and you said no. Why? You had a brunch with the Minister of Finance. My throat felt tight. Do we have strawberries at home? Ren blinked. Strawberries, sir. Oranges, apples, things that are not caviar or diamonds, basic human testing of a fruit. We have a fruit bowl, he said carefully. It's decorative, of course it was. We glided past the gates of the conservatory, an old building with a glass atrium cradling a pocket jungle. A few elderly women entered with small purses and big hats. A young man held the door for them. I stepped out and felt my stomach flip. First day of school energy, except your teacher is your wife and you've been a terrible student for years. Ren fell into step behind me, a shadow in cufflinks. I almost told him to stay in the car, then I remembered I barely knew this man's name and was about to blow up my company's schedule like a child pulling a fire alarm. I let the shadow come. Inside, the humidity kissed my skin and the air smelled alive. A docent at the desk recognized me and went pale with the fear of someone encountering a shark at a garden party. Mr. Ken, she said. Mrs. Ken is in the east wing by the orchids. Thank you, I said, trying to smile like a human and not a brand rollout. We passed through glass doors, past ferns unrolling themselves like cat tongues, past a fountain that made a sound like secrets being whispered. The east wing was a riot of color, orchids like butterflies frozen mid-sip. I spotted her at once. She sat on a bench, a paperback folded in one hand, a thermos in the other. Her hair was pinned neatly, a small clip like a tiny wing. She wore a beige cardigan over a green dress, the kind that made you think of tea parties and weaponized politeness. Her ankles were crossed, shoes simple, but her spine was straight and her mouth, the mouth from the photo, was soft and set. Shy, yes, but a tremor of something bright under glass. She looked up when she felt me coming. For a heartbeat, nothing moved, then a series of micro-expressions so quick I might have missed them if I hadn't been searching. Surprise, wariness, something like a wince, then a careful smoothing into excellence. Qin Ming, she said. She didn't stand, she didn't smile. She did not, as the legal counsel had predicted, fling herself at my feet and sob gratitude for my attention. You're early. I sat at the other end of the bench, unsure if I should ask permission, unsure if asking would make me seem like a stranger. I wanted to see you. She held my gaze, her eyes were clear but not shiny. We're seeing each other now. In all my rehearsals in the car, hello, I'm different now. Surprise, I've been transmigrated. Sorry, I've been a human iceberg. This moment had been sparkling with eloquence. Now my tongue had turned into a sandbag. She studied me like a doctor waiting for symptoms. Is it about the papers? It's about you, I said. About how you're doing. Are you sleeping, eating, are you still having? I stopped. My brain waved a flag. I didn't know what her unwellness meant. Ren said you were unwell. Ren, she repeated as if tasting the name for poison. Ren says many things. I want to know for myself. Her mouth thinned, fire flickering under the glass. That would be new. I know, I said softly, it should not be new. A gardener's cart squeaked past. Somewhere, a child laughed, another family, another small timeline. The orchids watched us like judges in silk robes. I brought something, I said, suddenly frantic to do something. I wanted to bring fruit, but apparently ours is decorative, which is a concept I hate. She blinked. Fruit. Oranges, I blurted. Strawberries, do you have them? No, I said, but I can get them. I will get them. I can. Kin Ming, she said, not unkindly but firmly. Stop. I stopped. She sighed, hating herself for the sigh. I appreciate the effort, but it's too late. Is it? I asked. Is it? Is it really too late if the reason it was bad is no longer at the wheel? She frowned. This was the problem with transmigration. It makes you sound like you've fallen out of a cult. What does that mean? It means I took a breath. I had to be careful. It means I was wrong. I failed you and I'm sorry. Her shoulders went rigid. A tiny muscle in her cheek jumped. Fire meets match. Are you? She asked, humorless. You're sorry. Yes, tell me for what? I looked at her hands, delicate fingers, knuckles elegant as punctuation. A small scar on the back of her left hand, childhood kitchen cat. For all I knew, it was the residue of a war. For not showing up, for leaving you alone in a house and calling it stability, for walking past you like past a painting, for decorative fruit. Something almost like a laugh flickered, then died. Decorative fruit is a choice. It shouldn't be. She considered the orchids. Do you know my favorite color? She asked so softly the air almost took the words instead of me. Yes, I said impulsively. Green. She turned back to me sharp. Why? You wear it when you want to disappear, but when you laugh you choose red lipstick. So green for quiet, red for fire. She stared. The silence stretched long enough to make me sweat. Then, I don't wear red lipstick, she said, but there was a tiny crack in the ice. You did once in a photo Ren showed. Never mind. Abort. The ground tilted under my feet. I'm doing this badly. Yes, she said then inexplicably, but it's honest. Her eyes were warmer, just a shade. She uncrossed her ankles, recrossed them, tiny shifts. Shy, then a flick of fire. A shadow fell across us. Mr. Kin, purred a voice like satin over sandpaper. A woman in a white dress and cruel shoes smiled down, her perfume slithering between the orchids. I didn't expect to see you here, Mrs. Kin. The smile sharpened as it turned to my wife. You look better. Miss Zhao, I said before I knew her name. It came attached to the spine of a headache. Zhao Lian, Chief Strategy Officer, the mouthpiece of chaos in most of the original Man's days. Smart, sharp, loyal to power. She tilted her head. The legal team left 3 messages. The board's nervous about delays. Investors don't like uncertainty. Investors can try therapy, I said absently, eyes still on my wife. We're reviewing. Zhao's smile didn't move, but the temperature dropped a degree. Reviewing, yes, carefully, thoroughly, with humanity. That sounds inefficient. Efficiently human then. A new expression appeared on my wife's face, something that looked suspiciously like amusement, quickly smothered. Mrs. Kin, Zhao said brightly, turning her attention to my wife with predatory generosity. You must be relieved the process is nearly finished. Freedom will be good for you. I almost stood. A spark shot up my wife's spine. The shy woman on the bench inhaled, and when the breath left her, it left as smoke and heat. I don't need you to narrate my feelings, she said, quiet but edged. I'm not your quarterly report. Zhao blinked, then smiled more, the way a person smiles right before stepping on something. I was just being supportive. Odd, my wife replied. I can't remember asking you for support. I fell a little in love with her in real time. Zhao turned to me. There's a 9:30 memo, Mr. Kin, you'll want to sign. Or, I said, I'll want to think. Thinking, Zhao echoed as if it were an exotic food. Very well, I'll inform legal that your perspective has evolved. It has, I said simply, and so has our company's. She inclined her head. How exciting. Then to my wife, good to see you up and about. My wife smiled, a small, flawless, weaponized thing. I appreciate the concern, truly. I hope your next investor call is short. Zhao's eyes glittered. It was the only sign she'd registered the cut. Good day, she left, heels ticking like a metronome of inconvenience. When she was gone, the orchids seemed to lean in. My wife let out a breath that shook slightly. She looked at me sideways, measuring. She's been calling me, she said, as if dropping a pebble in a pond just to see the rings. Texting about the papers, about his support. I closed my eyes for a moment. Sabotage, subtle, elegant death by 1,000 polite cuts. Has she now? She said you were busy, my wife added more softly. Too busy to, you know. She gestured vaguely between us: marriage, conversation, humanity. I told her I wasn't surprised. I deserve that, I said, but I'm here. Yes, she acknowledged, you are here. We sat, a bee danced near a purple bloom, drunk on impossible architecture. Can I try? I said. The question came out like a plea, not to erase or to reset or to ask you to unfeel what you felt. Just let me try to be better now. If you still want to go, I'll sign, I'll support you, but my voice tangled, I want to make you soup. She blinked. Soup? I'll learn, I'll burn the kitchen. I'll set off the fire alarm. Ren will disown me, the staff will talk, it'll be terrible, but it'll be yours. Something lit in her eyes that wasn't fire so much as a candle caught in a draft, shaky but real. You can't cook. I can't, I agreed. I'm a deeply untalented man, but I can hire tutors. She laughed then, sudden and small, like a hiccup of joy that surprised even her. She clapped a hand over her mouth, mortified, startled, then peered at me through her fingers as if she'd gotten away with something. I didn't know you could be funny. Neither did I grinned helplessly. It might be a side effect. Of what? Thinking, a tremor like lightning skated down her composure. She stood, carefully, heels on stone, a garden of eyes on us. She lifted her chin. Walk with me. My knees almost buckled with relief. We wandered through the palms. She told me about the orchid that smelled like vanilla if you leaned in at dusk. I asked bad questions and she answered them with patience that didn't feel like condescension, it felt like teaching. I learned that she naps at 2:00 p.m. on bad days and at 4:00 p.m. on good days. I learned that her mother calls on Thursdays, that she likes the sound of rain on the glass but hates thunder, that she once had a cat named Lint because he was gray and constantly underfoot. I told her about a tomato plant I'd once murdered by overwatering. I didn't tell her I wasn't really the man she married, but emotionally I stood in the doorway of that truth and looked at it. We reached a small fountain. Koi flickered beneath the surface like living coins. How long will you keep this up? She asked. As long as it takes, I said. She stared into the water. In the reflection, a man and a woman hovered above ripples warped by every passing fish. You don't owe me performance. I owe you attention, I said, and soup. She huffed, a smile almost happened, then pinned itself down like a paperweight. Ren materialized like a stealth bomber. Sir, there's a situation at the office. Miss Zhao says the board convened an emergency call, something about the Sybil bid being leaked. Zhao, I thought, sabotage? No, too early, too messy, or very early, very precise. A leak could scuttle a merger, drag us into regulatory fog. Classic siege tactic, destabilize your commander when he wanders off. Tell Miss Zhao I'll call in 5 minutes, I said without looking away from my wife. No, too, but we're not moving the car. Understood, Ren said unfazed. Is it serious? My wife asked. Potentially, I said, casual as a knife, but not more serious than you. She blinked. It wasn't romantic so much as calibrating, as if no one had ever said that while looking at her like a person rather than a possession. Wise men keep offices, she murmured, but home keeps them wise. Is that from your book? I asked. It's from a fortune cookie, she said deadpan. I laughed, surprised by my own joy. You're impossible. She lifted a shoulder. You're late for your call. Stay, I asked. I'm not going anywhere, she said quietly. She sat on the low wall by the fountain, her hands folded in her lap, for now. I stepped a few paces away and dialed. The call connected. Faces appeared on the car's console screen that Ren had carried over like an altar, squares of suits and strategic fear. Zhao's square was lit in cool light, composed as a chessboard. Gentleman, Miss Zhao, I said mildly, I hear we have a leak. A rumor, Mr. Qin, a board member said, but if it becomes news. It won't, Zhao cut in smoothly. We have a containment plan provided we act decisively. Her we was sharp enough to shave with. What's the source? I asked. Unclear, she said, but the timing is interesting, I finished, given my schedule today. A few squares flickered, people glanced at each other in the choreography of denial. Mr. Qin, Zhao said, this reinforces our need to proceed with the personal matter swiftly. Stability equals confidence. Stability equals integrity, I said, and integrity equals not pressuring my wife via corporate channels. Silence. Somewhere in the conservatory, a bird chirped as if trying not to laugh. Am I understood? I asked softly. Of course, Zhao said with luminous insincerity. We're all aligned on ethics. Good, then here's what we'll do. Ren, call IT. I want a trace on internal comms whisper. Legal will draft a stern letter to publications we haven't yet sent leaks to, guaranteeing we won't be sending them anything. If I find out someone in this call is playing both sides, I'll reassign them to decorative fruit. I smiled. Any questions? A board member coughed. Decorative fruit. It's a growth sector. We should alert PR, Zhao said tightly. In case, do it, I said, but no fear-mongering. Our language is we do not comment on rumors. Our focus remains on value to customers and people. People, someone echoed, faintly appalled. Customers and people, I repeated, say it with me. Ren's eyes glinted in the reflection of the glass. My wife's mouth was pressed together, trying not to grin. We'll reconvene at 11 o'clock, I said. I'll be in by then. I ended the call before they could schedule me to death. I slid the phone into my pocket and turned back to her. Tea. Her eyes searched my face. I thought you drink black coffee. I drink warm air now. Her smile won the battle just for a heartbeat. There's a small tea room nearby, she said. They have scones, the strawberry jam isn't decorative. I'm all in on strawberries, I said. We walked. Ren ghosted behind us, answering messages with a tap and a look that suggested someone somewhere had just resigned. At the tea room, a tiny place with lace curtains that felt like a whispered apology from the city, we sat by the window. The table was real wood with scratches that told stories. The waitress recognized her and brought a pot of jasmine without asking. You're here often, I asked. Sometimes, she said, then after a beat, when I felt lonely. The teapot became a small planet between us, steaming. I leaned in. I'm sorry you had to feel that way in your own house. She made a face that said me too. We poured. The tea smelled like something living. The scones arrived. I tore one open. Steam escaped like a secret that had been waiting its moment. She split hers with tiny, precise motions. She almost burned her finger on the hot crumb. Instinct moved my hand, heat, danger, nerve, but I stopped myself a centimeter from her skin. Her eyes flicked to my fingers, then back to my face. Careful, I murmured. I'm not made of glass, she murmured back, and the fire flared for a second. I know, I said quickly. I'm saying careful because I want you intact. She buttered, jammed, squared her shoulders. You sound different. I feel different, I admitted. I feel like I woke up and realized I was standing in a room full of things I broke. And now, I brought glue, I said, and soup, eventually. Her laugh this time was not accidental. It was a small bell I wanted to ring again and again. She took a bite of scone. Crumbs dusted her lip. Before I could stop myself, I reached with a napkin and no, I froze. Boundaries, my hand hovered. She watched me hold myself back and something softened in her gaze, a tenderness that had nothing to do with romance and everything to do with being seen. She took the napkin from my still hand and dabbed her lip herself. Thank you. I exhaled. The door opened, a gust of city air. A figure paused on the threshold, too crisp for lace curtains. He scanned, saw us, and smiled the way sharks smile at seals. Wai Jun, a venture capitalist, friendish to power, opportunist. He turned to the counter, placed a call loudly, and said, Yes, I see them, proceed. I felt the hair rise on my arms. He collected a coffee black and approached like a person approaching a prize on a game show. Mr. Ken, he boomed. Fancy seeing you here, and Mrs. Ken, you're looking radiant. My wife set her cup down. Why, have you heard, he asked, wide-eyed, the Sybil rumor, nasty business, competitors would love to spook your stock. We don't do rumors, I said evenly. Of course, he said, almost bouncing. But if there were rumors, a strong message helps, a decisive act, some movement, say a personal matter concluded stability, investors eat that up. Isn't that right, Mrs. Kin? He turned the weight of his speculation smile on her like a lamp. Her fire whipped up hot and neat. My life isn't edible. He blinked, thrown. I smiled at him without showing teeth. Consider this free advice, he continued, undaunted. Finish what you started. Clarity loves speed. Speed kills, I replied. I prefer steering. He laughed like a man trying to sell a laugh in bulk. Always a pleasure. He turned to go, then pivoted. Oh, one more thing. I'd have my IT check the outbound flow from your CSO's team. I'm sure it's nothing. He left. My wife and I looked at each other. The lace curtains swayed. Somewhere across town, a meeting that should have been an email turned into a conspiracy. I don't like him, she said. Neither do I said, but I like your line, my life isn't edible. She sipped her tea. Feel free to quote me in your next earnings call. I might, I leaned back. I have to go in, the office I mean, the day won't stop just because I want to feed you strawberries. Strawberries later, she said, tone businesslike with a glint. Office now. Will you, I stopped, asking for more felt greedy, will you let me text you? She took a breath, I'll think about it. I'll accept that. We stood, Ren paid before I could commit the crime of pulling out a black card in a lace curtain world. On the sidewalk I hesitated, the day had sharpened around the edges, a bus sighed by. The conservatory's glass gleamed like a patient, quiet heart. Kin Ming, she said. I faced her. She was looking at me differently now, not like a man she had to endure but like a man she was deciding whether to believe. There's one thing, anything, I said. When you go into your office, don't let Zhao bully you, and if you're going to fight, fight clean. You didn't, she said gently, but you can. I nodded, I will. She turned to go, then paused. I like jasmine over oolong, she murmured, and green is for disappearing, red is for making you look at me. I'm looking, I said, throat tight. Good, she replied. Then she walked away, back through the conservatory gates, back into a world she had built to survive me. The sun caught in her hair clip. Just for a second it flashed like a small sword. Ren opened the car door. Sir, Ren, I said as we slid in, do we have strawberries? On their way, he said dryly, from 3 different vendors. Good, I said, and Ren. He waited. Thank you, I said. He considered me in the mirror for a long fraction of a second. You're different, he observed. So I'm told. I looked back at the conservatory, back at the green heart beating behind glass. Let's go earn it. As we pulled into traffic, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown, if you burn the kitchen, you clean it. Me deal, unknown, and I'm not made of glass. Me, I know you're made of fire. A beat, then unknown, don't be late for soup. I laughed out loud, startling Ren into almost smiling. I looked out at the city with its cold steel and warm pockets of lace at the towers and the tiny tea rooms. I had inherited a company, a crisis, and a marriage made brittle by neglect. I would break some things to put them right. I would fight clean. I would make soup. Behind us at the conservatory, a figure in a white dress watched from under a palm. Zhao slid her sunglasses up and dialed. Confirm the leak, she murmured, but make it look like Y and keep the missus updated. She'll need to know who she can trust. I didn't see her, not yet. I only saw a text pop up as we merged onto the avenue, unknown and buy strawberries, not decorative. I typed back one-handed as the skyline rose like a challenge. Me on it.